Hi friends, so today we're going to start lesson 12.1. I know that you don't have your book and we're going to be working on that, a better plan moving forward. I printed these out for you and I attached them in a PDF file, which hopefully you were able to click on and you could either print them out, the pages, or follow along on a scrap piece of paper. Okay, so today's lesson 12.1, we're getting into measurement. So the title is measurement benchmarks. How can you use benchmarks to understand the relative size of measurement units? And we remember what benchmarks are from our fraction unit. Those are known amounts that we can create a visual in our head. So when we're thinking about like a half a fraction, 1/2 is a benchmark. We can figure if a glass is half full or maybe a can if that's half full. So those would be benchmarks. So we're going to be talking about on page 641. It starts off with customary units of length. And tomorrow I'm going to show you a brain pop video which actually will go into more of the history of customary units versus the metric system. Customary units, as you know, are the units of measurement that we in the United States use. Most all the other countries in the world use the metric system. I think there's like about 5 or 6 different countries that also use customary or a different kind of measurement than metric. Maybe that's something that you want to Google and find out. Um, See how many other countries do not use the metric system, but I know that most other countries do. But let's unlock the problem. So today, Jake says the length of his bike is about 4 yards. Use the benchmark units below to determine if Jake's statement is reasonable. So again, these benchmarks are something to create a visual in your head because it's known amounts that you are customary to seeing or to using. So the first one to figure out about an inch, it's about the tip of your finger. Okay, so about the tip of your finger is about 1 inch. So if you ever wanted to measure anything that's small, you probably want to use inches and you might want to use your fingertip if you don't have a ruler. About 1 foot is the size of the license plate that's on your car. So that would be considered a, a, an object that you can use to measure feet if you didn't have like a ruler or a tape measure. Okay, the next one is a baseball bat. Now, according to this, it says a baseball bat is about 1 yard long. And we'll find out, I think it's tomorrow, that we're going to be doing, or no, I don't think it's tomorrow actually, but when we do the measurement of length, 3 feet equal 1 yard. So a baseball bat is about 3 feet or 1 yard long. And if you wanted to figure out about a mile, it takes about 20 minutes to walk 1 mile. That's not running, that's not walking really slow, but a normal pace, it takes a normal person about 20 minutes to walk a mile. And a mile is from Mountain Park School down to where the police station is. That's about 1 mile. And you can see over on the side here, it says a mile is a customary unit for measuring length or distance. The benchmark shows the distance you can walk in about 20 minutes. Okay, so a baseball bat is about 1 yard long. Since Jake's bike is shorter than 4 times the length of a baseball bat, his bike is shorter than 4 yards long. And that would be reasonable. That makes sense. So, Jake's statement is reasonable or is not reasonable? You got it. Good job. Is not. So we're going to put the word is not right there on that line. Okay, is not reasonable. Jake's bike is about how many baseball bats long? Well, you know it's got to be a little bit longer than the baseball bat. So it's about one baseball bat and another half of another one. So it's about 1.5 baseball bats long. Okay? So that's for length. So again, for length, the customary units, what we use in the United States to measure length, how long something is, we use inch, foot or feet when it's more than one, yard, or mile. So let's go down to where it says example number 2. So for example number 2, using benchmark customary units to measure liquid volume, so things that are like in a water bottle. We measure liquid volume by cups. 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces. Or by pints, 1 pint, like the size of a milk carton that you get at school. 1 quart. Then the next greatest measurement is 1/2 gallon. And then, of course, 1 gallon, a gallon of milk. And it says here about how much liquid is in a mug of hot chocolate. Well, we know not a gallon, okay? And we know not a half gallon. It's got to be smaller than that. It's not even a pint. It's going to be about 1 cup. So we're going to put that right here, about 1 cup. Okay? All right, so now that was for liquid volume. Now we're talking about weight. So there's 3 customary units when we measure weight. The first and the smallest one is ounces. So these pencils are about 1 ounce each. A loaf of bread weighs about 1 pound. And a car weighs about 1 ton. And we'll learn more about that when we get into customary units of weight another day. The question down here is about how much does a grapefruit weigh? Well, I think it weighs more than 1 ounce, but it doesn't weigh a ton. So it's about 1 pound. Is that what you were thinking? Good for you. So about 1 pound. And I'm going to tell you this now, that pound, there's an abbreviation for pound, and it's really weird. I think it came from Latin, and that's something else we can Google too. If you get a chance, Google it. Where did pound get its abbreviation from? Let me know. Anyway, the abbreviation for pound is an LB. So that's where I'm saying that it probably came from the Latin language. I have no idea where they got LB from, because there's not an L and there's not a B in the word pound. Okay. All right. So that's page 641. So now let's look at the next page, which is 642. And now we're dealing with the metric system. So it says here, benchmarks for metric units. Like place value, the metric system is based on multiples of 10. Each unit is 10 times as large as the next smaller unit. Below are some common metric benchmarks. Now, when we get into all the lessons for metric, you'll see that actually the metric system is really easy to deal with. And when I was a little girl, back in the 70s, the United States, we were supposed to convert over to the metric system, but that never happened. And one of the reasons why they wanted to convert us back then is because professional, like scientists, we all wanted to be talking the same language. So because of that, the metric system would have been a great thing to convert to, because then all the measurements that they deal like within medicines, or maybe things, some kind of scientific new phenomenon that they certainly discovered, they could tell each other using the metric measurement system. But again, that never happened. So let's take a look at the top here. It says example number 2, use the benchmark metric units. So to measure length in the metric system, this is actually not all of them. the metric system, when we get into it, I'm going to show you very, very easy how to figure it out. There's like a base to it. There's a base name. And for length, the base is meter. So I'm going to write the word meter right above here. So to measure with the metric system, anything by length, we measure it by meters. Now, all of these things in front of the word meter, and you can see I'm looking at the first one here, about 1 millimeter. This prefix here, milli, well, that's a prefix, okay? And milli is 1/100th of a meter. I'm sorry, thousandths of a meter. Centi, like century, that's 100. Centimeter, that's 100th. And I'm talking the naughty TH brother, this one. 100th, okay? This is thousandths. And deci, that prefix is 10. Okay, now here's my base. There's just one plain old meter, no prefix in front of it at all. And then we have kilometer. That's actually greater than the base. I don't know why they went. Well, they went from smallest to largest. Okay, and it says here a kilometer is a metric unit for measuring length or distance. The benchmark shows the distance you can walk in about 10 minutes. So that kind of tells me that a kilometer has to be less than a mile, right? Because if I can walk this in 10 minutes and if I can walk a mile in 20 minutes, this must be less than a mile. But we'll find that out later. But let's go back and take a look at this. To measure, if you didn't have a ruler, about 1 millimeter is the width of a, and I don't have one in front of me right now, is a width of a paper clip. That's about 1 millimeter. And centimeter is about the width of your finger. So the width of your finger going across. And about 1 decimeter is from your thumb to your pinky, is about 1 decimeter long. And then a meter is about the width of a door. And a kilometer or a kilometer is about 10 minutes to walk it. Okay, so here we go. Is the length of your classroom greater than or less than 1 kilometer or 1 kilometer? Well, it's got to be less than, because I wish our room was more than a mile long. We could put a lot of things in there. So that is less than. So that's how we measure length. It's by meters. And all of those prefixes before it tell me on a place value, Matt, how many tenths am I away or tenths am I away from the word meter, the base word meter. But we'll get into that another day. To measure liquid volume using the metric system, the key word there is liter. Now, they only gave you 2. They gave you a milliliter, which is much less than a full liter. Okay? And that's like a droplet of medicine. Okay? A medicine dropper. And the liter, this reminds me of like those smaller, like a seltzer bottle of water. The seltzer soda bottles are a liter big. So about how much medicine is usually in a medicine bottle? About 120, well, it can't be liters. It's going to be milliliters. And that's what we're writing right there. Milliliters. So that's how we measure liquid volume with the metric system, is in liters. Let me put an S. Okay. Last but not least, to measure mass. So mass is how heavy something is, the weight. So metric units of mass, a dollar bill is about 1 gram, and a baseball bat is a 1 kilogram. So the base word to measure mass or weight is grams. So that's what I'm writing here. So we have grams, we have liters, we have meters. Okay. So the last question here, about how much is the mass of a paper clip? Well, it's sure not a kilogram. It's going to be about 1 gram. Now again, we can definitely put prefixes before that word gram, like centigram or milligram, but they just gave us these two choices for now. So we're just going to put about 1 gram. We're not going to get real specific yet. That's when we get to that chapter on the metric system of measuring mass. All right, so let's go on to the next page, which is page 643. And up at the top is the share and show. It says use benchmarks to show the metric unit you would use to measure each. Mass of a strawberry. So it's saying mass, so that means it wants us to figure out with the metric system. So I would have my other two pages in front of me, so you can see I have my other two pages here in front of me, because those are good reference sheets. So when it says mass, I'm thinking it wants me to tell the answer in a metric system. So the mass of a strawberry, well, looking back here, that would be either a gram or a kilogram. So obviously that answer is going to be, you got it, gram. Length of a cell phone. Again, they want us to use the metric units. And so they're over here on the side too. So we have those right there. Length of a cell phone, what do you think? You got it. It's going to be a centimeter. So centimeter. Okay. How'd you do? All right, let's look at number 3. Circle the best estimate. The width of a teacher's desk, do you think that's 10 meters or 1 meter? Well, remember, it can take you 10 minutes to walk 1 meter. I'm sorry, that was a kilometer. It takes you 10 minutes, sorry. The meter is about the width of a door frame. I'm looking at my reference sheet. The width of a door frame. Well, I'm not going to have 10 widths, 10 doors, so that one's going to be 1 meter. All right, let's look at the next one, number 4. The amount of liquid a punch bowl holds. So I'm thinking back here for my liters. How much do you think a punch bowl holds? Well, first of all, what the heck is a punch bowl? You don't see those too often anymore, but it's like a big bowl, like maybe bigger than what you would make brownies in when you measure the brownies and you put them all in and you stir, stir, stir. It's bigger than that, but it's not that big. So it's actually going to be 2 liters. That's about how big it is. And last but not least, the distance between Seattle, that's in Washington on the West Coast, and San Francisco, that's in California, also on the West Coast. Is it 6 miles or 680 miles? Well, they're not next. They're in 2 different states, my friend. So you got it. 680 miles. Look at this one here. It says apply. Which metric unit? Okay, metric now. Let's think of the metric. So I'm looking at this sheet here. Which metric unit would you use to measure the distance across the United States? Explain. Well, you're definitely going to use the greatest measurement we can for length, and that's the kilometer. And why? Because it's the greatest distance. It's the greatest measurement used in the metric system to measure length. And that's the reason why we're going to do that. Okay. So on your own. So why don't you give 6, 7, 8, 9 to try. You can stop the tape and come back. Go. Okay, hi friends. So the length of a football field, and remember we had to use customary units. So the length of a football field is going to be in yards. So you're going to write yards there. Weight of a pumpkin, of course, that is in pound. Okay, and they gave you the words over here on the side. And circle the best estimate. The weight of a watermelon is going to be 4 pounds. It's more than 4 ounces. Because remember, an ounce is like the size of a cup. Or, I'm sorry, an ounce is like all those pencils. Do you remember? So, definitely a watermelon is greater than that. The amount of liquid a fish tank holds, well, if you only put in 10 cups, poor fish, he's not going to have a lot of water to swim in. He needs 10 gallons of water. Okay? All right, so go ahead and give 10, 11, 12 a shot. Go. All right, so in number 10, Matthew's large dog weighs blank than 1 ton. Well, of course, it's less than a ton. An elephant weighs equal to, no, more than 1 ton. Okay, number 11, the amount of liquid a sink can hold is blank than 1 cup of water. Well, that is definitely more than 1 cup of water. And a paper clip has a mass of less than 1 kilogram. Remember, kilo is greater than the base word gram. So it's got to be, a paper clip weighs like nothing, an ounce. So it's going to be less than a kilogram. All right, so moving right along. So we're on page 644. You can give number 13 a try, 14 a try, 15 a try, 16 and 17, and we're going to stop there for the day, and I'm going to give you the answers. So take a pause now, and I'm going to leave the camera on in case you didn't print out. And take a pause and come back when you're ready for the answers. Okay, friends, so let me give you the answers. So this is a possible answer for number 13. How'd you do? Nice. Here's 14. Here's 15. Here's 16. Don't forget, you needed to explain on that one. And of course, here's 17. Okay? All right, I think that's it for today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.